Live, 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 live. Alrighty. Covering Arsenal versus Leicester, Spurs versus United, or El Sáckico, as it's affectionately been called. And we do a quick jaunt through Europe as a lot of giants fall. Play us the music, sir. Nice. I like that angle in the thumb. My thumbs are two different angles.
Oh, yeah.
One goes a bit further back than the other. No thumbs were harmed. No thumbs. No thumbs were harmed in the making of these thumbs.
Wow.
Quick facts.
No farms, I think.
No thumbs. I'm getting on the
No
thumbs, bro.
farms, Bowen.
I'm farming up. Let's get into Leicester versus Arsenal. The Foxes versus the Gunners. Normally doesn't go well for the Foxes when the Guns are involved. Especially when it's English gentlemen and firearms, because long history of fox hunting. Bringing that up.
After that history lesson, there is also a football game. Look, it's
Now,
yeah, go on.
which will the manager of the month keep it going? What do you reckon?
Manager of the month. Can't
Longest
believe it.
month ever.
You reckon he'll get it again? I'm trying to think who else has been manager of the month.
I think that's it. He's just. I think it's only handed out once in the year, and it was given to him.
It's in perpetuity. He's
Yeah. I didn't subscribe to Manager of the Month monthly. I just got my one free copy with Arteta on the front, and I'm sticking with that one. That's it. It's done. It's done.
How does it count?
Why would you want any other one? It's Arteta's probably easily got the best eyebrows in the game. Great for a cover. Cover boy Arteta. Great hair. Never moved. He's one of those fellas where it looks like he's got a hair transplant. That's how good his hair is. But you know it's not, because you've got photo evidence of him at age 2 with the same hair.
Yeah, his parents flicking it on like a Lego.
Like a Lego piece. Look, with a win here, both teams, they get really nice and close to the top 4. What do you reckon? What are you feeling?
Oh, I reckon it's going to be I reckon it might be a draw. I think, it's there's
Don't
a lot
commit too much.
Huh?
Don't commit too much. Jesus.
No, I just think it's because I can't call it either way, because I can see Arsenal. I don't trust Arsenal to really come out swinging against the Foxes, but also I don't like the Foxes haven't convinced me. Like, all right, they're a little bit better than before. They've got a couple of good results, but just not. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not fully convinced by either side that they'll have enough going forward to take each other out. So I think it might end up being a bit of a stalemate.
I kind of feel you on that. Like, the inconsistency from both sides, but at the same time, I feel like maybe that's a bit of like, it's a bias, or at least it feels like it is on my behalf, anyways. Because realistically, on form, like neither are in bad shape at the moment.
No, absolutely.
Really. It's just that Leicester's close to the end last season. The narrative of them sort of bottling it. Obviously, Arteta and Arsenal have had, their own fair share of media circus around their performances and the consistency they've been able to deliver. But I actually think that this is a good chance for Arsenal and for Arteta to show that it's not like temporary form. It's actually them, what's it called? Tangibly getting better. I think this is a good chance for them to show it.
Against good opposition as well. Not the likes of Burnley. Like, obviously, you still have to beat them, but it's a certain test.
What I would say though is that if Leicester don't put on a good performance, they lose at home to Arsenal. It's dominant in Arsenal's favor. Then it's starting to look like we're seeing the plateau and the drop of what Rodgers can do with the Foxes. That's what I think, anyways, right? Vardy's getting older. He's definitely their talisman. So like, if they're starting to go down? Like, what does Rodgers and Leicester do to pull them back up? Like, I can't. Is there anyone you're expecting to suddenly pick up form? Playing back from
I hope Patson Daka can continue, because he had in Europa League 4 goals in a half, or something, like some ridiculous stuff. and gave him a 5-4 result. So I don't know. You'd heard he has all the same qualities in terms of player as Vardy, pace, passing. Like he came off the bench as well against United and then scored a couple
Yeah.
as well. So look, I think they have the pieces. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of what's it called? It's just staleness. Maybe people have figured him out. Maybe
That's that's what I think too.
I
That's what I
think
think.
maybe people catching on to what they're doing, and I think also not all the players have been at the best. They've had shuffle. They've been shuffling their decks at centre back. They had Sonuchu out, and Evans out. Then Vestergaard joined, but then he was injured. You had Amadi playing there, so you had a few different things, and plus Ndidi is also injured, I think, as we speak. So there's a few things you can put together there that can kind of sum up why maybe Leicester isn't where we predicted them or where we expected them to kind of be at this stage.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not really too sure if Rodgers is probably the guy to do whatever the rebuild's going to look like, post the Vardy years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I don't know how long term his plan is there. But I don't know. I just feel like we're maybe seeing, like you're saying, a bit of staleness, but also like, just the natural sort of end to the trajectory that he could take them on. Again, this is a lot to put on just one game, but that's just what I felt like, they've had 2 seasons in a row where they were where they were above expectations for 3/4 of the season and then somehow managed to finish below expectations, which is strange for a team where that's doing well for like I said, 3/4 of both seasons. So, it's kind of showing like maybe it's the manager, maybe it's not the quality of the players. Like you said, they've got people in the ranks like Patson Daka to come in and fill the role of previous players, but maybe would do better in a different system or would get more from a different coach coming in and just get, another kick up the arse to step into a new gear. And also, I don't know if you've heard, but like I've seen Rodgers' name pop around for the United job as well, which is crazy.
That's interesting considering he coached Liverpool, but hey, we've heard stranger things happen in football and we've seen them. So
exactly. But I don't know if is that rumor just coming out just because he's somehow on the market or is looking elsewhere or has been approached or has his agent looking to put his name out in the market to be able to drive up price in other negotiations. So I don't think we're Rodgers is as concrete at Leicester. Especially after the way the last 2 seasons closed. And I think this is a game to kind of show whether is he someone to keep them at least at this level or are they going downward? Because if they get beat handedly by Arsenal, I think it's sort of spelling one of the notes of the end for Rodgers. At least the successful period, maybe they'll hang on to him for longer than they need. But it's been a while that they've kind of been the Leicester that they were, let's say, midway last season.
100%.
Now, Spurs versus United.
Wow! So much riding on this game for both coaches.
Yeah. So we will maybe hamming it up for Leicester, Arsenal, and how much that game means for them. But Spurs against United, for Oli and for Nuno. It seems like there's. I've seen some news come out where like they're saying Nuno's like his job is not on the line in this game. It's it's. We're thinking a bit more as a rebuild than what you guys are thinking. As public opinion is different to what we think.
Well, way worse than you think, man. We already have a lot of expectations of ourselves. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but boy, we know shit.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's just shit being put out in the media to quell and keep Nuno feeling at least somewhat safe and secure in his job. Because the reality is they just got rid of Mourinho before. Well, it's not like you'd have Mourinho on for a rebuilding project anyways, but still, they clearly made themselves of the capability of firing a manager. Plus, the fact that he wasn't their first choice makes you think if you're going to go for this big long-term project, you're probably not going to do it with your third or fourth choice. That's a bit strange. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot riding on this game for it. I think if they lose and they lose poorly, like it's not going to be a good time for him the next couple of days.
Yeah, I don't think either manager will get sacked after this game, but it'll be.
I think Oli could.
You think Oli could? I don't think he's going to get sacked till the end of the season.
Like I reckon if they lost in like some capitulation, It's like 4-0. Ronaldo's kicking another person on the floor. Like, it's really, really bad. I think there's a chance. There's a chance he gets fired.
But the thing is, like he lost last season 6-2, Ollie,
Yeah.
against Spurs. Had a poor start, and then ended up getting good and saving his bacon to finish as second, right? But
Yep.
then we're looking at it again this year. It's not as, I guess, the expectations were higher now because of the signings, but you know how many, like, I just don't think United want to sack him because they've given him the extension. He's an old boy of the club. I think they have this weird, unfathomable belief in the guy beyond his capabilities. Like, I just genuinely don't think they look at it and go, yeah, he's pretty, like, it's not like how Barca looked at Koeman and went, every game upcoming could be your last game depending on results. So
Well, the reason I say that there's a chance, there's a different person in the mix now that's an accelerant to these sorts of situations. That's Ronaldo.
mm,
Before, there was no player on the team that could influence the owners or whatever upper management you want to point it at, to make the decision whether to keep or move Ollie. Whereas now there's someone in the team who very clearly, I think, will make it very obvious that he thinks someone else could do the job better. Because the thing is, right, is that they're still in the race for the Champions League. That's no matter how far they slip in the Premier League, that doesn't affect what they can do in a knockout tournament, right?
mm,
As long as they can get through the group stage. I think while that's on the table, there's a chance that United pulls the plug on Ollie to be able to get someone in to keep that dream alive. But I think once we go past that, there's no real reason. Like, what's the incentive of getting rid of him? So I think there's a
mm,
there's a window now for like the next month, 2 months, while those sort of things are still on the table. But once those things come off, there's no real reason to get rid of him, to just bring someone else in to finish the second half of the season. So I'm sort of with your train of thought with why you think those things, but I think right now there is a chance, a moment in time, because whoever comes in now gets a transfer window. They actually can do some shit. There's a
mm.
chance, they can turn things around. Maybe they win a Champions League, and suddenly it's a successful season, right? But once that sort of goes by, there's no real reason to get rid of Ollie. Whoever you're bringing in isn't going to be able to do shit anyways. I also very much doubt that at that point Ronaldo would be making a push for anything. He seems much more logical than that sort of thing. So I actually do think that there's a chance, maybe not right after the game or anything like that, but this could be the game where if they get smashed, they look back on it and they go, "That's the one. That's what got him."
Yeah. Yep, yep. Yeah, no, okay, fair enough. I agree with the accelerant there in Ronaldo because again, he's if he's not happy, then the team is probably not overall
Yeah,
happy towards the vision. There's a lot of things, so it's in their best, I guess, yeah, in the club's interest
yeah.
to keep him
It doesn't
happy.
even it doesn't even necessarily need to be him going up and saying something. Just the fact that he's there puts a timer on how long they can be this good with him there. Because he's 36.
Mm,
If
mm,
you don't have a 36-year-old on the team and your starlets are between the ages of 23 to 25, 26, you can experiment with this manager. You can allow nepotism to sort of take over. That's fine. But when you've got a timer on it, maybe they're going to have less leash for him. That's what I
mhm,
think, anyways.
mhm.
But yeah, crazy stuff, man. I think this two interesting games, but this one definitely has like a lot riding on it. What do you reckon? Like,
Lots of mean potential in this one. Score wise, I'm gonna say it's a 2-1 United win.
yeah,
I think it might be. I think I'm backing United in this one. I just don't see where Spurs can, because just don't have the goal score unless United play really really bad like they did against Liverpool, which I don't think will be the case because yes, the team is the same, but obviously it's a wake up. Sorry, one, it's a wake up call,
yeah.
and two, it's not, the teams don't play the same way. Like
No,
Tottenham
no.
are not a pressing side like Liverpool, so the ability to exploit that may be lesser than what Liverpool were able to do.
What makes me laugh though is like a couple months ago, we would be like, oh, a team that's open, pressing, moving up and down, running the fullbacks really high up. That's perfect for United. That's who they did
Mm,
best against, and they got absolutely thrashed 5-0 and looked lost the whole time. right?
Mm-hmm.
So like
Mm-hmm.
that's against opponents that quote unquote were more suited to their stylistic matchup, right? I get it; it's the best to do that style, so it's like hard to overcome that. But you'd think that if you're gonna lose 5-0 against a team, it's not gonna be against a team that plays a suitable style for you. So I'm
Mm.
not saying that Spurs are gonna beat them 5-0 or anything, but like it just goes to show how much has sort of changed with Ronaldo coming in, where they no longer are that sort of team that you kind of have an expectation for them to play away an opposition. Now it's a bit more of like, well, what the fuck's are they going to do this time?
Yeah.
How's he going to try to figure this out?
Mm.
I think that what's landed in his lap is a puzzle that he just can't figure out in Ronaldo. Like it's not necessarily the fact that like Ronaldo has made things harder. It's just that he's the kind of player that Oli hasn't figured out how to use in his system. Because really, even before Ronaldo, right, was there ever a player that Oli got a lot out of that was like him, a pure number 9 at this point? I don't think so.
No, he sold Lukaku because he didn't like him, but not really. Maybe Cavani, I guess.
Yeah, but
Did-
Cavani is not pure number 9. He's like
He does. He
his
does a lot of.
skill set is a pure number 9, but his mindset is like I don't know what he is, a fucking defensive
He
mid.
does, well, I mean, they've never really had one in a long time since Lukaku and Ronaldo. Like, I'm trying to think.
That's what I'm
It's
saying. Like maybe he
it's
just doesn't know how
Martial,
to.
Rashford, Greenwood all rotating up top. So
Maybe he doesn't
it
know
was
how
a
to play the
collective.
game out.
It was a collective goal scoring, not a target man or a single,
Yeah.
goal scorer up front.
He just doesn't have. He might not have that in his toolkit. He doesn't know how to use a player
He
like.
hasn't helped. He hasn't dealt with a player like of this magnitude as well in his time at United. You don't get Ronaldo. You don't get to coach Ronaldo and someone of his stature very very often. So, it's like you said, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle that he hasn't figured out yet. And I don't think he will. I think he will just it's because the thing is, what is Ollie's tactics? Like, what does he want to play? Like, we don't know what he's, uh, you know, what is it? The notion of how he wants to play football. We don't know what it is. Is it passing? Is it pressing? Is it? It seems like he just puts out 11 guys there based on their position they like to play, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
we
That's
can't even say how is he going to fit him in because again, what is it? What is Ollie football?
yeah. We actually don't know. We really don't know. At this point in time, we have no clue. It's we've seen. We haven't really seen him make any sort of you know attempt at developing an identity at all. It's just sort of put 11 of the best available guys that I have at the time. I'll put them out there in a simple 4-2-3-1. Not a whole lot of thinking there, and yeah, never really seen any sort of consistent route to goals for them. Like you couldn't even point back even before Ronaldo, like Ronaldo, United gets their goals this way or that way, or this is how they keep possession, or this is how they build up from the back. Like there was really nothing to go on for them. Let's do a quick trip through Europe because a lot of stuff,
Quick frolic.
a lot of crazy stuff happening. Barcelona lose 1-0 to Rayo Vallecano in Koeman's swan song. How about that?
Who would have thought? Finally,
The witch is dead, huh?
the ding dong, dilly dong.
Look, the goal they conceded because they lost 1-0. Um, had a lot of possession, a lot of sideways passing, which is the hallmark of Koeman's time there. But the goal itself, I think, summed up the what's gone wrong with this Barcelona side, and like how the wheels have sort of come off and how far we've fallen from where we were before. You have Busquets losing the ball in midfield, in his own half. Busquets never loses the ball in midfield in his own half. Like that's just not.
Too
He's
slow.
never.
Too slow on the
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Catch him on the ball.
The ball was really, really far off his foot. Like it wasn't even a bad touch. He just misplaced it. He's not really paying attention. His awareness is out. Like
Exactly.
he's not got that anymore, right? So that's gone. And then the ball's played through to Falcao, and Falcao with the simplest of cutbacks, and a really slow touch away, just completely leaves PK in the dust. PK is in frame the whole time, but it's as if he's just not engaged at all.
No, he
It's like
absolutely rinsed him.
when you're on FIFA and there's a guy closer to the ball, but you can't select him, and he's just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
half a meter away, but he's just refusing to engage with the player. That's what PK looked like. It was
yeah.
very sad. Um, I like, you know, there's a lot that you can pin on Kerman,
Mm,
but I think that the players sort of being past it, like PK and Busquets, that's obviously out of his hands. But just the way he kind of got to this situation, right? Like
mm,
he put himself in there, right? Like he uses players out of position. So the players he does have, he misuses, right? Like what's his name? Dest is an example. When he does have talent that could help him, he pushes them away, like he did with Suarez, right? And probably others, right? I think there's others that Pjanic, same thing,
Pjanic.
right? And then the players he does target and bring in are useless, like Luke De Jong. Like what? Like
They want to get rid of him in January. It's hilarious. He's played probably 6 months, barely, and he wants to go, and they want him gone.
what a waste of what a waste of time. I reckon the whole Kerman experience was, bro.
It was just, look, in another time, in another day, and if there wasn't such turmoil at the club, maybe Coman would have worked out. Maybe we could have seen a nice bit of football if he had, the same level of quality that past sides had. But the thing is, I don't, I look, I'm not going to say that this is one of the better Barca sides, but they're not talentless either.
No,
Yeah, the thing is the way Coman went about things. He was very abrasive. There was constantly things of him, isolating players, or there was him constantly trying to add more fuel to the fire by saying, "Oh, it is what it is. This is the best I can do with this club." Like he
terrible.
was kind of the architect in his own downfall in a sense, because like if you think about it, pushing Suarez out, Atleti winning the title,
Yeah.
that's like, geez, that's it's not the best thing to do, but and then like
It's
the
also a
whole
very obvious cause and reaction as well.
yeah,
Cause and effect as well. Like you don't have to think too much. Like okay, Atleti won the title. The lead goal scorer was Suarez. He scored several key goals for him throughout the season. How did Suarez get to Atletico Madrid? The new coach of Barcelona pushed him out quite clearly. So it's like
yeah,
it's
he
no
knocked
one
that
else's
domino
fault.
over.
Yeah, it's no one else's fault. It's quite clearly there's a chain reaction here. So there's that. The only bright spot I think in his players, and I don't even know if he had a lot of influence in it, but Depay has proven
Yeah,
he can play. He's actually quite good at the center forward sort of false nine role. He's much more creative on the ball, like in terms of
mm,
bringing other players into the game than I thought.
hmm,
So like that's like that's the only bright spot. Other than that, he's just going to be remembered for terrible football, his abrasive nature, and some of the worst and stupidest quotes that have come out before and after games in his conferences. Right, the thing coming up of him saying Barcelona has a future because of me. Like, come on, bro.
and that's what he did. That's how he did himself in, because you don't buy yourself favor like that with fans, or probably even with players in the club.
No, 100%. The players are listening to all that, man.
Yeah.
Players are listening to all that. And to be fair, a lot of them actually came out after his sacking, and they put out like the standard social media things about thanks for your time and all that sort of stuff.
But
Yeah, yeah. So like I don't know if that's just their media teams or they were actually genuine, but either way, not a good time for Koeman, not a good time for Barcelona overall. Kind
mm,
of excited to see what if they do bring in Xavi, just because I feel like they will commit to that a bit more long term. He will be more experimental. Hopefully he'll allow for results to not be as important as just playing the Barcelona football, and maybe we'll actually see some more La Masia talent
yeah.
come through
Yeah.
if they keep him long term, because it's not just been Koeman the last year. He's destroyed the system of Barcelona. The last I would say the last 5 to 6 years they've strayed very far away from using their youth talent all
Mm,
the way through. So maybe Xavi coming in has that sort of resurge again. So it's exciting times.
mm.
It's good to see him gone, to be honest.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but look, they weren't the only Giants that fell. Real Madrid, they drew 0-0 to Osasuna.
Awesome.
Uh,
So
to be completely fair to Madrid, they've not been bad at all this season.
no, no.
They're performing quite well. Only Real Sociedad ahead of them in the table. They've got young players looking well. It's just the fact that it just fits the narrative. For some reason, this week a lot of big dogs just couldn't do it against the minnows. Very
Man,
strange.
100%. And it could, be schedule stuff, or the injury tolls taking a turn on teams. It's interesting because Real Madrid is kind of in the same position as Barca, but they're a bit more competent about how they do their rebuild rather than just you know throwing throwing cash into the sky and seeing
Oh,
where it lands by the winds. It's a lot more methodical in their report.
personally, the only area in which I think that they've done some strange moves is the centre back spots, but I don't know how much of that was in their hands. Ramos was out of contract.
Mm,
What was the other guy? Varane was out of contract. Like,
mm,
you can negotiate with them, and yeah, you can maybe they're just driving a hard bargain, but at the end of the day, the guy still has to say no. They didn't push him away.
mhm.
But other than that, man, like to me, they're the model club in terms of what they've brought in and how they build their stars up. Right? You've got they've got the veteran spot covered by several key players. They've got, players that are like Casemiro who are like, 28, 29, who still got it for a while, but, are more in the veteran role. And then you've got tons of youth talent like Valverde, um, fucking, what's his name? The guy that just came in, Camavinga, right? You got all those guys. So, like, I think they're the model club in that sort of regard. Um, but still, they drew 0 to Osasuna. I got to call them out for that.
Yeah,
Bayern Munich, they lose 5-0 to
five
Mönchengladbach.
nil. 5-0. That's a huge scoreline. That you don't really associate Bayern being on the end of. When was the last time they even got thumped like that?
Bro, I have no idea. I when I first saw the scoreline, it came up on live score, and
Mm.
I was kind of like, my first reaction was, oh, Bayern beat the team 5-0 again because I just saw Bayern and 5-0
Yeah.
by assumption. And then when I saw the actual highlights come up, like, oh, what? It was the other way around. Crazy stuff. But huge win for Mönchengladbach. It's in the domestic cup for them, but they're slowly turning into a bogey team. It seems for Bayern. I had a quick look. 3 of the last 6 times that they've played, Mönchengladbach has taken the win, and there's a draw in there as well. So actually, Bayern's got less wins than them in the last 6. Very interesting stuff. Didn't think that was the case, but
Yeah.
they seem to be a bit of the boogeyman for Bayern Munich at the moment.
Yeah. And you can't even say that Bayern put out a second tier side because it's pretty much
No,
all their starters. It was
it is all their
all the best,
starters. Yeah.
yeah, all
Yep.
the best talent. So
I first, to be honest though, when I first looked, when I was watching the game, I thought that Upamecano and what's his name, Lucas Hernandez, didn't play a whole lot together through the
mm,
season so far because they didn't seem to be
because it's
very
usually
coordinated.
Sewell.
Well, no, actually, I was wrong. So I went and had a look. The last couple games they've been playing together. So
Oh,
maybe Sewell is normally the first choice and he's been out for whatever reason. But at least for the last 2 or 3 games, they played together. They looked very out of sync, especially with Makana. He was doing a bit of a Harry Maguire. He was everywhere, doing a bit too much. But yeah, and there was that one play where he just like misread the header. Very strange. That
mm,
was like actually it's very Harry Maguire because Harry Maguire did that literally just last game in a similar 5-0 win.
yeah.
Wow, what a pairing! How about putting Harry Maguire and Upamecano together? That might
Well,
go well.
just two of the same.
Yeah, just
Two
two
of the
centre
same.
backs just losing their heads.
You're
Poor
just you're just a French. You're just a
Harry
French.
Maguire.
Yeah. Oh, my computer just logged me out. Why that?
Ha ha, good one. Um, but yeah, actually, I'm being harsh on Upamecano. I've not seen him play enough to compare him to Harry Maguire. Could just be one
Oh,
bad
bro,
day.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Um, City also lost.
What a way to go out!
Yeah, lost against West Ham on pens, 0-0 the whole way through the game.
Great game.
They what's that? That was they were going for the fifth, right? That was
Yeah, yeah.
yep.
4 and 5. Yeah, it was 4 and 5.
So crazy stuff. Nice to see Noble get his pen.
Yeah, when I took it and you saw his relief on it, it was just like,
Yeah,
oh, this one means a lot to him.
yeah. It was just the miss from Foden that got him out of that because everyone else scored their pens. There was no pen saved.
No, no.
Not at all. Pretty well taken pens. Just Foden just pulling it a bit too far wide. I don't know. I thought it was a bit straight. It was a bit poetic as well because right after the commentator goes, "He looks unflappable." He then misses the pen. I was like, "You fucking did it! You commentator cursed him, bastard. Can't do that." But yeah,
You
man,
flapped him. You made him flappable.
he made him flap. He made him flap.
You
And
made
then
him flap.
finally, Sassuolo, they're beating
Last,
Juve 2-1.
last second winner. Great for the boys in black and green who will have to change. I think I forgot what year it'll be, they'll have to change their kit color or reduce how much green there is due to a rule from Serie A about green kits, but
I know it's not. Why did they bring up? What's wrong with green?
because it looks like the grass. So players get confused. I'm like, what?
Maybe they won't have to. Just have to change it to an accent color.
Maybe reduce how much green there is on there. But speaking of the game, I mean, well done to them. They've been slowly, you know, building a nice collective of players. Then you've got the likes of Jeremy Berger, I'm forgetting the Philip Juric. They're not a bad side, and they're definitely building something nice there. Sassuolo, and a good mid table team. They can definitely come out and spook some of the big boys, which they did against Juve. And Juve looks, I mean, speaking of another giant in a rebuild, I mean, post Ronaldo, pre Ronaldo as well. I mean, it's night and day. Before Ronaldo came and gone, came and went. Sorry.
Yeah.
The club is like, it's hard to say what exactly is the problem. I think personnel is a problem because there's just a lot of dead weight and a lot of oddly shaped pieces to the puzzle. But then also the chopping and changing of managers, some of the purchases themselves. It's just a clusterfuck of things that have kind of shot Juve in the foot and putting him way behind guys like Inter Milan and AC to the point where they were they're not. Those guys were nowhere to be seen a few years ago. The two Milan clubs.
Yeah.
Now it's quite au contraire.
Yeah, yeah. They're a long way, man. They're a long way away. So Napoli and Milan, 28 points, and they're all the way down, way out of the top five, with 15 points. So their season's done already. Like,
yep. Pretty much. They just got to make sure to get into the Champions again. And speaking of Napoli, I think, while we're here, I think they deserve some plaudits because I generally, when I saw when they hired Spalletti, I thought it was a bit of not a mediocre, just uninspired, just
a sideways move.
Yeah, bit of a sideways move. But I mean, they came out the gate 7-0. They've played good football. A lot of players are looking like they look inspired again. The likes of Osimhen and I'm trying to remember his name, Politano as well for them. They generally look like they like playing for him. And I mean, not only in the league are they succeeding, but in Europa League, I mean, they're on track to qualify. They've gotten points. They've gotten points off Leicester as well at home. And away, I think. Or they're yet to play. Maybe they're yet to play, but they're just doing bits across all its competitions and all its commitments. So it's a nice surprise, really. And considering they're Diego's club, it's a nice thing to see.
Yeah, man, big time. Especially like, I think I had a bit of a bias as well because I was kind of liking Gattuso there. I was vibing with that a lot. So when he left, I was kind of like, that's it. They're gonna go back to mediocrity. They weren't willing to take a risk. But no, I was wrong, man. Spalletti's come in. He's got them playing like a team possessed. And like you said, that they're doing it everywhere. Like even in the Europa League, they haven't put good performances on. So he's getting it. He's not only getting them to step up when he's got his full 11 out there, but he's getting a good rotation of players playing some good football. So very nice to see. Plus, it's just fucking. I like when a reign of a team finishes, and it's not like it's just replaced by another reign of another team that's just got the second biggest wallet. Like the Serie A now is, genuinely very interesting to watch and keep up with because of how much movement there is up top, how many great young players are there, and generally the football there is evolved just like as everywhere else, and it's no longer the sort of defense first Serie A. Not saying that defense isn't heavily admired there. It's just that now with teams like Atalanta, even Sassuolo themselves, there's a lot more modern football going on. So very good, very good for football overall. I think that Serie A has come back to the fold.
Nice one, Serie A.
Yes. Alrighty. Let's wrap it up there. Follow us on the socials at Last Goal Wins Pod on Twitter, at Last Goal Wins Pod on Instagram, at Last Goal Wins Podcast on Facebook. We're on YouTube now. We're on Twitch. Assuming you just search last goal wins and you find us easily. If not,
You'll fucking find it.
sucks to you. What can you do? Catch us on the replay on Spotify. And all glory be to Bozza.